The American Civil War was a fight between our nation which has brought us to the United States as we know it today. Contrary to popular belief, slavery was not the only factor that was in play for this war. Tensions were rising between the North and the South, and slavery was just the initiation. In 1860, Abraham Lincoln was elected president. This moment caused 7 southern states to break apart and form the Confederate States. South Carolina, Mississippi, Florida, Alabama, Georgia, Louisiana, and Texas. 4 more soon joined them as well. There were a couple of names for each side. The North was called the Union, or the Blue, while the South was called the Confederate, or the Gray. This war has become the most deadliest war America has fought. The American Revolution, World War I, World War II, and the Vietnam War combined don't compare to the estimated 620,000 American casualties. The fighting lasted from 1861 to 1865, and yet it was still chaos even after the war. In 1854, the U.S. Congress passed the Kansas-Nebraska Act. This act was intended to open up and expand land for new development, along with the construction of the railroad. However, this act repelled the Missouri Compromise and helped fan the flames on the tension over slavery. Religion was also a player in this war, as both sides had different thoughts. The North wanted to spread God's plan by spreading democracy and Christianity across America and the world. The South wanted to create a better nation with God than the one they had left. As he died to make men holy, let us die to make men free. This quote was from a song written by Julia Ward Howe. The economy was another reason, as the two sides were vastly different. The North had a limited agriculture but was large in manufacturing and industry, while the South was heavily dependent on their large-scale farming. They were reliant on slavery for their labor within the cotton and tobacco fields. It's no secret as to who won this war. The North had approximately 22 million soldiers compared to the 9 million the South gathered, 3.5 million of whom were slaves themselves. The only advantage the South had was the generals Robert E. Lee, Stonewall Jackson, J.E.B. Stuart, etc., etc. But even with famous generals, the board was not set up for their favor. The North manufactured more than 90% of all goods in America, 17 times more textiles than the South, 13 times more shoes and boots, 13 times more iron, and 32 times more firearms. The railroad was also a major player as it allowed an easier and faster mode of transportation. The North held 20,000 miles of railroad, compared to the South 10,000. It wasn't until the summer of 1864 when the war was closing in. Lincoln had to rerun for presidency against George McClellan, a former general. With the widespread war weariness in the North, Lincoln's victory was doubtful. However, the public opinion of Lincoln turned towards his favor with the capture of Atlanta, and with that, Lincoln was re-elected and committed to end this war. The American Civil War became the first modern war with its scale and destruction. New technological advancements made this war destructive that's been recorded. Rifles and machine guns shifted the way people fought. Defending the front lines became easier as cavalry charges and waves of attacks were just slaughtered. Photography also had profound effects on the thought of war for everyone. The Civil War was the first war to be photographically documented so thoroughly. Although most were staged, it was the first time that written accounts were accompanied by imagery of the fighting and its aftermath. A new nation was built after this war. The states embraced modern ideas and industrialization instead of continuing to be an agrarian nation.